Okay, I'm going to do a quick video. Well, I don't know how quick it'll be. I'll try and be quick, but excuse me. On basically what needs to happen in CorelDraw when you're working with a vinyl cutter. Okay, basically, a vinyl cutter only sees like lines. Whatever lines it will see, it cut basically. So let's give, for example, let's do this rectangle here. Okay, and we're going to turn the fill way up on it. Okay, and let's say you wanted to cut this out of black vinyl and red vinyl. Well, it's not going to cut like that straight out of Corel like this, because you have to do certain things to it first. Okay, the main thing you're going to do when you're working with a vinyl cutter is you're gonna need to use wireframe view a lot, and that's up in view, wireframe. And what you'll notice, what will happen as soon as I select wireframe, you'll notice where these bounding boxes are is where the rectangle is going to be. Okay, you see that? That is what the cutter is going to see, and wherever these lines are is where the cutter is going to cut. So if you're trying to do something like this, then what you need to do is basically click on things, and even if I were to change this to curves, convert the rectangle to curves, you can still see that in wireframe it only sees that, because Corel doesn't do the strokes or the outlines like that for some reason. So let's go back to this, and this is what you're going to have to do to make this object cut out of a vinyl cutter. If we click it, if we right click, actually I'm sorry, I don't think you can get through it through right click. No, you cannot. So if you click on it, you come up here to arrange and come down to convert outline to object. Okay, as soon as you did that, you notice over here now you have two objects. Let me Control Z so you can see how right now it's one object. Okay, it's the red square with the black outline. Okay, as soon as we go to arrange, convert outline to object, then it takes this black outline and makes its own object out of it. So now you can see that the black outline has been made into its own object. So now if we go to wireframe, now we can see that this big section here, like all in here, is going to be the black, and this section and this square right here is going to be the red. Okay, that might work for your vinyl. If you want to overlay that much, then you could cut it just like that, and it would, and then just overlay the black over the top of the red, and it would look just like this. Okay, if you don't want to do that, I'm not sure if this will work the way I want it to. Actually, I think it did. Yeah. So if you wanted to make it to where the red just bumps up to the black, then you would highlight this and click simplify, and that's basically going to all simplify does is, if there's anything overlapping another object, it's going to trim that object that's not showing. So we have red under here, and so it's basically going to take the black and trim the red off. So we hit simplify, and now you can see that the red just barely is just bumping right into that. So now if we go into view, wireframe, you have the very outside line of the black that the cutter will see and it'll cut. You have the inside lines of the black which the cutter will see and it'll cut. Then you also have, let me move this over so you can kind of see it, then you also have the red square which the cutter will see and will cut. Even though even though you can't see the two separate lines here, the cutter will still recognize that square as a separate square, and it'll cut that out separately. Okay, so now that you know kind of what needs to happen to make a cutter see things, and like I said, basically whatever you see in this wireframe view is what a vinyl cutter will see, and any lines you see, anything you see in wireframe, the cutter will see it, and that's where it will cut. Okay, so now let's go to a problem someone was having trying to create some text. So we're going to put the first thing I want, I believe it was Kimberly, to do is open up your object manager if you haven't already. And to do that, you go to Windows, Dockers, Object Manager. Okay, and it may be floating out here like this. You can grab it and put it over here until it pops, or you can also lock it over on this side if you'd like, if you prefer it over there. Okay, the three things I usually always work with is the object manager, the object properties, which is like fill and stroke and things of that. And then I do a lot with contour, so I have the contour one up here also. If you open one of these, all of those you can get through Windows, Dockers, and they're in here. And when you open them, sometimes they'll open in a separate window like I just have. Sometimes they'll pop in here as tabs already. Sometimes they'll pop in as, like, sometimes they'll be like this, where it's like a separate bar, and you have to like minimize and maximize, and I don't really like that. So, but if whatever happens, you can just grab these things and pull them out, and then put them wherever you want. And to get them to go into the same one, you just go over here, and as soon as it highlights the whole box like that, you just let go and it'll pop it in there. Okay, so those are the three I use. For this, you're going to want to open up all three. You don't necessarily need the contour because you can do it with the contour tool, but this I feel like is a little bit easier, especially with my computer because it's super slow. So when I try and use this and like drag the contour out, it just lags really bad. So okay, so let's do this text here. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. Okay, get the text tool. We're just going to do text. It's simple. We'll make it a little bigger here. Okay, so now basically what you're trying to get is something that looks like this. Okay, I'm just going to hurry and make what you want. Let's see, copy and paste. So now I have two. My mouse is not working. Okay, the first one, we're going to go and give it a fill of, let's see, 0.5, and we'll do behind fill and do that. And then this one, man, my mouse is, we'll go 0.25 behind fill and make it white. Okay, that's kind of what you're trying to go for. That's probably way too big though. Let me put this one to 0.25 and this one to 0.125. Like that. That's a little better. So I think that's what you're trying to go for, right? So I'm going to show you how to do that. And if you noticed, if we go to View and Wireframe, that's all there is. Because like we just went over, outlines do not show up in this thing unless you convert them to curves. Now I tried converting the outline from the text into curves, and it was there might be a glitch in CorelDraw. I'm not sure, so I'm not going to show you that way. I could not get it to work. I could be doing something wrong, but I figure I'll just show you the way that works for me. Okay, so one thing to note is like you can see that they're touching here, right? Well, if we go right here, we can drag this out, and it'll pop. And it's kind of hard to do them both at the same time, just because of the way it's set up. But you can kind of see what I'm getting at. If you go to the shape tool while the text is still in effect, or I should say, then you can drag that out to where it looks good. Or you could basically just take this top one. Let's delete this for a second, and we'll make this we'll make that green. So this is our bottom one. So this is as big as our fill is going to be. Okay, so we can take it and we can adjust this out to look however you want. If you want it kind of smashed up like that, so everything's touching, that's perfectly fine. Or you can squish it out like that. Okay, we're gonna make that, and then this comes back to 0.125, and it goes to white. We click OK, and then we change that to black. Okay, I know I'm going a little fast, but I don't want you to follow along quite, because this isn't the way I'm gonna explain for you to do it. I'm just getting the look down, I guess you could say. Okay, so basically this is what you're trying to get, and you're trying to cut it out on a vinyl cutter, but it's not doing it because this is what the vinyl cutter's seeing. And I'm assuming even if you've gotten this far and gotten your text to look like this, you're not getting it to cut out because the vinyl cutter is only seeing the inside text part. So this is how I would suggest you do it. Okay, we're going to move down here. Well, we'll just stay right here. And we're going to move both of these to this bottom layer, just so they're out of the way. So we're going to start with text again. Okay. We'll drag that out to like this size. Now the first thing I suggest you do is, because once we make a contour, it's going to be really hard for you to adjust the size of your image. Okay, so what I would suggest is to come into the contour tool and make it, and just do a contour to see, and make it as big as you think you're going to want the outside edge to be. Okay, so let's say we'll go 0.1, and we're going to do a green fill. Okay, and we're going to apply it and see what that looks like. So that's maybe we want it a little bigger, because if we come over here from like there to the outside, there is not quite as big as that. So we'll go 1.12 and then hit apply. Okay, we'll go with that for now. Okay, so now this is your outside contour. Okay. Now what you'd want to do at this point, before you do anything else, is to grab your shape tool and drag this out to where you want it to be, because this outside green is basically going to be where this outside black is. Okay, so if you don't want it touching, this is when you'd need to like scoot it out, or you can click right here and, sorry about that, my phone was ringing. You can click right here and you can move the letters around. So basically you can adjust anything you want to look exactly how you want. Okay, that's what you should do right now, because once you do the next step, you're not going to be able to adjust these this green layer as easily, I should say. Okay. And it doesn't matter that it's green. I usually change it to a different color just so it's easy to identify on the page, and also in the object thing once we change this off of a contour. So we're going to say that this is fine. Okay. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to break this apart. So we come up here to the contour and we click on the contour group in the object manager. We right click and then break contour group apart. And what that's going to do, because as you can see when I was moving the text, the contour, the green contour was following along, right? So because it's, you can see it's kind of, it's like a sub item of the text. It's still linked to it, and we don't want it. We don't want that right now. So we're going to contour break contour group apart. And you can see that made it its own curve. And so now we can separate those apart if we want. I'm going to Control Z and put that back. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do another contour off the text again. Okay. And we did 12. Instead of doing 12, we're going to do 0.06 because that's half of the 12. And we're going to change the color to, oh, let's say a red, just so we can see it. We're going to hit apply. See, well, let's actually change it to a white. So it looks like the background of the page. Hit apply. Okay. So there is that contour. Okay. And that looks pretty good for this tutorial, so we'll leave that. Okay, and I'm going to turn this green curve to black just so it looks more like what we're trying to go for. Okay, so now we have a contour group of the text again that's half of that, and you can make this whatever you want. If you want this outside thing to be bigger, you could have put that to like 0.25 and it would stick out to here more, and then still only do this 0.06 and it would just come to there. That's what you're going to have to play with and decide what's going to be best for you and your design. It is going to take a lot of trial and error to get what you want and to make it look the right way, because if you do this outside thing and it's like touching over here and you don't like that, you're going to have to reverse it all and then like squeeze the, like slide the text out a little bit more and then redo it, you know. So that may take a little time, but once you get the principle down, it's really easy to get the thing down. Okay, so let me delete this because now we've pretty much matched what we were doing. But now we're going to go back to view and take a look at it, or to wireframe, I mean, sorry, view and wireframe. Okay, so now you can see that we have these different lines that the cutter is going to see and it's going to cut out. Okay, the contour group is still part of the text, so if I grab the text and move it, it's going to bring that contour with. Okay, as you can see, there's a problem though. This bottom layer is going to cut out as one big solid T, E, X, and a T. And if you're doing like heat press vinyl, you're not going to want that, because you're going to want that shirt color to come through in that area, right? So let me put this back. So what we need to do to fix that, let me go back to here, and I'm going to just put we're going to do a rectangle right here, okay, and we're going to make it, let's say, blue, and we're going to pretend that this blue square is a blue t-shirt, and I'm going to put it at the bottom. Okay, so this is what you can see. Okay, and if we move that, you can see that this black background text is what the vinyl cutter is going to see, and that's how it's going to cut it. And we don't want that because we want it to show through. So we're gonna break this contour group apart. So now we have the text, we have the white curve, and we have the black curve. So you can see how those are all separate objects now. But we don't need it like that because we want the stuff to show through, right? So let's back that up. So basically what we're gonna do is we need to basically make this white go through so we can see the blue, right? So if basically we need to cut the white out of the black, because if that happens, then we would see the blue showing through, and then when this text is on top of there, you would still see the blue. Okay, so basically we're going to go up here and click on this and click on this, and that's going to select just the white curve and just the black curve. And the one thing about the objects manager and the layers is it's basically like you're stacking things on top of each other. So technically the rectangle's on the bottom, this one's on top of the rectangle, the white's on top of the black, and on top of the rectangle, and so on and so forth. Okay. So, and when it comes to the next step, basically the white is in front of the black, and the black is in front of the blue rectangle. The black is behind the white. Okay, if that makes sense. So we're going to click on this white one and then hold down and click on the black curve, and that's how you select both of those. And that brings up these little options up here. Okay, if you click and hover, weld will combine, and we don't want to do that. What we're looking for is, okay, right here, front minus back. Remove the back object from the front object. We don't want to do that because we want the back object to stay, but we want to trim the white from it. So we want the back, remove the front object from the back object. So if we click that one, it will delete, it'll basically take the white object and trim everywhere the white was touching the black. It basically deletes the black. So now you can see that this object is basically see-through. Okay, I gotta reverse to get my text to go back in place. So now when we go back to view and wireframe, you can see that all this right here is the outside black. Whoops, let me go back to this. See, all that out there is the outside black, and then it's also going to cut around here, which is the inside black. And then you'll still have this black in the vinyl, but you'll have to weed that out, obviously, right? So now the vinyl cutter sees everything you needed to see, and when you go to cut that out, it should end up looking just like that. I hope that answers your question. And like other people have said, I'm pretty sure you should be able to do it with text and outlines and stuff, but I could not get it to work. And I've always done it with contours anyways. So that that's just one way to do it. And I'll show you a really quick way to do it. Let me steal this text because it's still text. You can stop the video right here if you'd like, but I'm just going to show you something that makes it go really fast. Like, let's say you get all your testing done and you know how thick you like the space, like you know how thick you like this gap and you know how thick you like this gap. Okay, once you get that figured out, whoops, I selected the wrong thing. Once you get that figured out, the contour is super fast. So you can go into the contour, let's say well, we'll just leave it at the 0.6 so it looks the same. Okay, we'll change this to a red and we'll hit apply, and that'll put the 0.6 contour around it. And then if we come over here and we break the contour apart and then we select this curve, now we're selecting the red, and we come back to the contour and we're going to give it the same exact 0.06 inch contour to make the back one. I'm going to change it so you can see that actually I'll make it black so it matches the other one. We're going to make the same, but now we're selected on this contour that used to be the curve we just made, right? And so you just leave that the same, hit apply, and see that makes it. And then you just have to go to and break this apart, and then you select the red and the black, and we go to back minus front, and that's how fast it can go, right? And see that it's the same thing. So once you get your settings down and once you get everything figured out, and like especially with the contour, like if you like this inside gap to be 0.6 and then you like the outside gap to be like 0.12, you would just do the first contour in here at 0.6, and then you would unhook that contour, click on it, come back into here, type in 0.12, hit apply, that would do the outside one, and then you just break them apart, like delete them from each other, and you're good to go. So hope that answers everything. If you have any more questions, let me know, and I can either answer in the forum or I'll do another video, whatever is easiest for you. Alright, thanks, bye.